And a lot of times we want to take control of things in our lives. We want to take control over this and over that because it makes us feel safe, you know. And I remember when we got married, and like I had said before, you know, I thought I kind of knew what I was coming into, but I didn't. You know, I came in to a ministry and family, and I was brought up in the church, and I was part of the choir. I did kids gang, but I didn't know ministry at this level. And there's different levels of ministry. And when you're called to different levels of ministry, there's different levels of surrender. And this level was a whole new surrender for me. It was like I thought, oh, I surrendered this and I surrendered that. And God goes, no, I'm coming back again for you to surrender those again. Your insecurities, your fears, your pride, your trust, your worries. I want you to surrender that all again. And I thought I did. And I realized the Lord told me you didn't. These are things in your life that I have to keep uprooting. Yeah. And I have to surrender. And I have to ask the Lord, show me myself and go deep. And show me the areas that I'm not willing to let go of because I don't trust you. And it comes down to trust, really trusting the Lord with our lives. You know, and so it was even allowing people to speak into my life, our leadership. And realizing that what are they going to gain from telling me this is an area you need to surrender, you need to work on? What are they gaining? You know, I had to be open and allow people, my pastor's wife, my mother-in-law, my husband. And as wives, sometimes we're like, our husband, you're telling me that? Right? I mean, let's be honest. But I had to be open and be surrendered and say, you know what, Lord? And they can tell us till we're blue in the face. But until we come to a place of saying, Lord, I really want to see these things. I may not see them now, but he's the only one that can show you these areas about yourself that need to be surrendered. Amen. You know, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. We still feel fear. We still feel insecurities. But you know what? It's a daily process. And when you surrender to the process, that's what it is. Surrendering is a process. Yeah. And it's something we have to do daily. And believe me, it can be brutal because you feel, and for a season when we first got married, I felt like a boxer. I told him I felt like I was in a boxing ring. And I felt like I just kept getting knocked down and I had to get back up and I got knocked down again. I had to get back up. And it can feel that way. But when you surrender and say, you know what, Lord, I know this is all to build me. Mm-hmm. And when you change your perspective of what you're going through, it can really change your focus and change the way you think and change the way you feel about a situation. You know, and we went through a rough time at the end of the year last year. And it was, you know, he was sharing yesterday, it was to the point where I felt like I'm done. I really felt that way, I'll be honest. I feel like I can be honest. I felt like this is not what I signed up for. But the Lord had to show me this was for a purpose because I'm building something in you and you have to surrender it again. Yeah. Surrender doesn't stop. It's not one time I surrender. It's every day. It's cultivating surrender. You have to cultivate it. You have to cultivate it every day and say, Lord, when I pray every morning, it's, Lord, I surrender my will, my wants, my desire. Take control. I surrender every part of me to you. And ultimately, that's what he wants us to be surrendered. And when you surrender, there's a freedom in it. Yes. There's a freedom in surrender. There's a genuineness. Yes. And when we're free, we can be a more genuine you, and I can be a more genuine me. Amen. And I struggled with that. Believe me, when you become a pastor's wife, when an evangelist's wife, you feel like there's all these expectations of what people expect of you. And man, it does something to you. Your insecurities, it can plague you. Am I good enough? No, I'm not good enough. Am I really called? Can I be this person? And you can lose yourself. And all of a sudden you realize, like, I'm not being me. I'm not really being genuine. But when you allow the Lord to do the work in you and you are completely surrendered and you throw your hands up and say, I'm surrendered. Lord, I need you. Yes. Because I have to do, believe me, I said it yesterday like this. I used to be like Pastor Sonny Jr. When I was little. My dad would have me, have to order a pizza, and I would literally throw a fit, getting on the phone to order a pizza. I would do a little Indian dance, when kids throw a little tantrum. That was me. So to see when you surrender to God's process and to his will, he does amazing things. And this, to me, blows my mind. Me up here holding a mic, because I was like the black sheep of the family. I'm behind the scenes. I feel good there. That's my confidence. That's where I feel good. But when you surrender, you see God do a work, and he will use you. But I want to leave you with this. The ultimate surrender is Jesus on the cross. He surrendered his will. He surrendered his right. He gave up this place in heaven for us. That's the ultimate surrender. So when you think like, I have a right, no, we don't. We have to live surrendered daily. So remember that. Amen? Amen.
All right. These are the areas that, where's Nate? Come on over here, sir. The areas that I want you to just leave here with today thinking about is this. Under the topic of genuine, I want you to think and say, Lord, am I healthy, first of all? And how am I surrendering areas, whether it's emotionally, mentally, spiritually? How am I surrendering to you to allow you to get me healthy? Yeah. Am I not healthy in my heart? The things that, it's not healthy. Let me tell you, it's not healthy to think down on yourself.
Amen.
The Bible says this. You have those chords that I gave you last night? Play those. The Bible says, love your neighbor. First of all, it says, the first commandment is to love your Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Right? Second, love your neighbor as you what?
Yourself.
Do you know that if you do not allow God to bring healing and health to your life, you will love me the way you love you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yes.
You know why some of us struggle with negativity towards people?
It's true.
Because that's how you are towards you.
It's true.
You're skeptical of people because you're skeptical of yourself.
Yes.
You don't see the best in people. You see what's wrong with them first because that's how you see you.
Yeah.
You don't see the best about you. You see what's wrong with you. And in your mind you think, I'm going to get to my greatest level if I could just improve the worst side of me. And God says, I'm going to get you your greatest level if you start getting better at what I gifted you to do. And let me do a work on what's wrong with you.
Yes, God.
You have to make sure, we have to make sure that God, that you are bringing health to my life. If I need healing, if I need forgiveness, if I need a breakthrough in this area, I gotta be healthy because I can't afford to love people the way I love me if I'm not healthy.
Amen.
I need to be a healthier version of me so I can love people that way. I gotta come in and, like for me and my wife, when we come in, it's not always easy to come into churches that are smaller and see the great potential in life if you don't have that view of yourself. If I come in here with a bunch of insecurities and complexes, if I come in here feeling inadequate, if I come in here lacking confidence, if I come here with all that, how in the world do I help you?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? This is where you and I together, we say, God, heal us. Heal me more. Heal me more.
Yes, God.
How does he bring healing? Like my wife said, surrender. Surrender. The other thing I want you to walk out of here thinking about is under the topic of genuine is not only health, but I want you to think about those areas, being real, relevant, responsive to people's needs, getting results. But I also want you to think about how are you doing in the area of selfishness versus sacrifice.
Wow. Yeah.
Am I in a mode, let me tell you this, where this church is at right now, if you're a leader in this church, you can't get away from sacrifice. This is the time. There's work to be done. And there's no room for selfishness when God is challenging for sacrifice. And you know what selfishness is? Selfishness is just real simple. It's just putting so much emphasis on what you want over what the Spirit wants. And when the Spirit says, show up on this night, you don't show up because you want to go to dinner. The Spirit says, hey, support this event, and we go and do something else. We have right now, like never before, to begin to evaluate our area of selfishness versus sacrifice. And then also, lastly, is I want you to look at these 4 areas here. You're just going to write them down. I'm not going to talk about them long. I want you to think about the favor of God. That all of this works under the favor of God. And in order for us to have the favor of God in our life, there's 4 areas. Number 1, radical forgiveness. Radical forgiveness, radical humility, radical obedience, and radical giving. Key word, radical. Not just forgiveness, radical forgiveness. You know what radical forgiveness is? Radical forgiveness is when Jesus was on the cross, and after he's been bleeding, he's been nailed, he's been spit on, he has a crown of thorns in his head, and these people are mocking him, and he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. In other words, you know what radical forgiveness? Radical forgiveness is when you forgive to be right with God, not for the response of people.
Right.
I'm going to ask you to forgive me, and it really doesn't matter if you forgive me or not, but I'm asking you for forgiveness because I need to be right here.
Yes.
I would love for you to forgive me, but if you don't, I can walk away knowing you told me and I did it.
Come on.
That's right.
Radical humility. You know where you see that? You see it when Jesus was there and he left his princely place in heaven, his place of kingship, to come and be all God and all man and become sin for us.
Right.
He was humble. He came in the form of man, the lowest form from what he was,
Right.
to become sin. You know where you see radical obedience? In the Garden of Gethsemane. When he said, if you could take this cup, take it. And when he didn't hear the answer he was hoping for, not my will, but thy will be done. Even though he knew it was going to be painful. And what did he do? He didn't just get up and mope. I got to go to the cross. He came to the disciples, and when they were sleeping, he says, hey, this is what's going to happen. They're going to whip me. They're going to beat me. They're going to flog me. They're going to do this in Jerusalem. Now let's go where it's all going to happen.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
And radical giving, where do you see that? You see it in 2 ways. God the Father gave his only Son. Jesus Christ gave his life.
Right.
This church, like never before, we need to be strong and genuine. We need to be strong in sacrifice. We need to be strong in health. We need to be strong in being real, in being responsive to people's needs, and being relevant in getting results. We need to be strong in surrender. We need to be strong in all of these areas. We need to strive for all of these areas. Radical forgiveness. Why? Because we want the favor of God. Are you hearing me? See, what have I spoken to you about today? There's going to come other meetings that we're going to talk about strategies, how to crack open the city, how to penetrate a neighborhood. There's going to be other times where we're going to talk about, speaking vision, building the people up, and planning ministries, and victory centers, and life groups, and all those things. But what are we talking about today? We're talking about the quality of your heart.
Yeah.
Woo. Those plans and strategies don't have a shot if we don't improve who we are.
That's true.
Are you hearing me?
Amen.
Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let God speak to you. Just let him touch you. Just surrender in your heart. Surrender in your heart. A little bit more, a little bit more. God, Lord, have your way. Come into my life, Jesus. New and afresh. Come into my heart, Father God. New and afresh.